Shalom, Mashpaka. I would like to get into a topic that has been brought up and the information that is being shared right now. And I want to share my point of view, and so we can test and see what is truth. Let's get into it. Jubilees 6, verse 38. For this reason I command and testify to you, that you may testify to them. For after your death your children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new moons and seasons and Shabbats and feasts, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. Up here in verse 36, it reads, For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons, and comes in from year to year 10 days too soon. In verse 38, it is saying that it is 364 days. Jubilees is stating that the moon comes in 10 days too soon, that it always comes in 10 days too soon, and that is 354 days. Let me show you something. This is a Hebrew calendar, and this is Nisan, the first month of a year in the Hebrew calendar. This right here is number 1. We use the Hebrew numbers for this calendar. We do not go by the Gregorian numbers that you see here. We don't use those. Down here, this is 30. This is 29. I am going to count these months and the number of days that are in them. 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, 20, 30, 29. And there is a Dar 2 for this year. So there is an extra month in this calendar. In this year, there is 385 days. Now, family, this is the next calendar year, starting in Nisan. Okay? We're going to count down here. This is 30. This is 29. 29. 30. 29. 30. 29. 30. 30. 30. 29. 30. 29. And this is Adar. That is the last month of that calendar year. Here is the math. In this calendar year, which the Hebrews used the lunar calendar, it is 355 days. Now we hop back into Jubilees, and it is stating that it is 364 days only, and that from year to year, 10 days too soon, being 354 days. They are stating that the moon is always 354 days. It's 10 days sooner than 364 days. So how is it that I just did the math and I came out to 355 days? You might want to think about that. Some might say that, well, it's 365 days, but it's not stating that in Jubilees. So it would be 10 days shorter because it is using 365 days. Jubilees is stating 364 days. So 10 days from that. This is another calendar year. Again, I am starting at the beginning of the Hebrew calendar, Nisan. And I'm starting down here, 30. 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, 29. And I'm ending on Adar, the last month of the Hebrew calendar. Now this is the math for that year. It came out to 354 days. So what I'm trying to point out is that Jubilees is adding to the canonized scripture. And it is saying things that are not being backed in the canonized scriptures that we have. I can give evidence of something else. And then I can also pull up the book of Enoch and what it said. Jubilees chapter 2, verse 9. And on the fourth day he created the sun and the moon and the stars, and set them in the expanse of the heaven, to give light upon all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, for Shabbats, for months, for feasts, for years, for Shabbats of years, and for Jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. Notice how it is not mentioning anything about the moon, and that it is strictly saying that only the sun is for these times. Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Yahuwah said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days." Let's go into that verse. Yahuwah said, "Let there be lights." This word right here is the word that was used. Here it is in the WLC that we are using right now and translating these words from. Let's go into that word. Light, luminary. Okay, so now we are seeing that Jubilees is saying that the sun is appointed to be the great sign on the earth for the days, for the Shabbats, for the months, for the feasts, for the years, for the Shabbat of years, and for the seasons and of the years. Why is it not making any mention of the moon? When in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, it is stating, "Let there be lights, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years." You got to be able to catch this, family, because I am pointing out that Jubilees is adding its own distinct meaning that is different from the canonized script that we have now. The original, what we have been using as the 66 books that we are saying that is the canonized scripture. And that Jubilees is not included in that scripture. The Sefer also brings in the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha has 14 additional books, plus these right here. Now, I am not saying that the book of Hanuk is wrong. If we go into Jude chapter 1, verse 14, we can see that it is described that Enoch prophesied, saying. So I do not think that Enoch is one of those scriptures that should not be included in the Bible. I am showing right here that it is included, that it is said, that his word is spoken. This is the Wikipedia for Jubilees. This section right here is the origin, and where they are suggesting that it is written by a Pharisee. If we go down some, we can see down here that this person is stating that it is written in 170 to 150 BCE by a Palestinian Jew. If you Google who wrote Jubilees, it is stating that it was written by Moses. Why is this important? What I'm trying to say is that we do not know who wrote Jubilees. There is no evidence of definitive proof who wrote it and who scribed it. There are multiple copies. Look at this. 15 scrolls of Jubilees were found. Why were there 15 copies? Okay? If we scroll up some, it is stating here, no complete Hebrew or Greek or a Latin version is known to have survived. This is what the copies of Jubilees were found amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls. That the only version that was found was this, Ge'ez. If we read here, it is stating that when Moses went on Mount Sinai to receive the table of the law of commandments, in addition, the Torah and instructions by angels. If we go into Exodus 24:12, Yahuwah said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, and I will give you the tables of stone with the law and commands that I have written, that you may touch them." Let's go into that verse. It is stating that Yahuwah is the one that gave Moses the 10 Commandments. So why is it saying here that in Jubilees it is stating that angels gave the 10 Commandments to Moses? Here in Jubilees we're seeing that it is not Yahuwah speaking to Moses, that it is saying that it is an angel. You can go into these verses and it says the angel of presence. Jubilees chapter 2. Right here it is stating that an angel of presence spoke to Moses. If we go into Enoch chapter 74, we can see right here, verse 12, so that the moon has 30 days, less than the sun and the stars. He is using the moon. The moon brings on all the years exactly. He is not stating in Enoch what the moon is in 1 year. He is stating in a 3-year period, it is 1,062 days. In a 5-year, in a 5 years, it is 50 days less. In 5 years, there is 1,770 days. In 8 years, there are 2,832 days. Why is Enoch not using 354 days only? He is saying that there is a 3-year period and that there is this many days with the lunar. Now, Parable of the Vineyard has a video that talks about the book of Jubilees and how it is not using correct words and that it is adding to the canonized scripture that we have today. And it also talks about a calendar that is being spread right now that may not be right, that it is a solar calendar, and that we are to use all the luminaries, including the stars, and people are not even understanding what the stars are used for. It could be just for mapping and directions, but that is what we're currently using it for. We do not understand, or it is not being shared, how the stars are used for times. You can see all of these videos in my calendar that I have on my playlist. So with that information, I wanted to talk about something else. This is some information that I'm leading into with how we use the moon. Is that the moon is on a circuit similar to how the sun is on a circuit. And that the sun is always going to be on the same circuit, the same cycle that it is doing. But the moon has its own cycle that it does separately from the sun. And it brings in the years exactly how they're supposed to be. That we are supposed to use the moon. That it is not up in the sky for just nothing. That it is meant to be a light as a sign, a greater sign, a lesser sign, together with the stars, how we are to calculate the calendar. And I'm trying to say is that the moon has a specific cycle. Like how I've shown that the moon sometimes has more days than 354 days. That it is not only 354 days. That it can be 355, 356. And that we use an extra month. That is what I'm being led right now to understand, is that there is an extra month, also a Dar 2, that is to create the calendar, how it brings in the years perfectly. As of right now, I do not believe that every year is 364 days exactly. I believe that that is using only a solar calendar. When you use the lunar calendar, it brings in the times exactly. Now the average time that is used of a year with using the moon and the sun together should be average daytime to be 364 days. The average days of the year. When you add this extra month, this amount of time added to the calendar to bring in the year exactly, to keep it in cycle, there is more days added. And then when you take those days and you get the average of the added time, and the time that it normally is 350 something days, you get 364 days. The scriptures that we have in the book of Enoch is stating that a certain amount of days are to be used for the moon and for the sun. We need to find out what cycle of the moon year we are in right now for the current year that we are in, and find out what 3-year, 5-year, and 8-year period of the moon fits those dates, those numbers that are used in the book of Enoch. If we can do that math, then we can have some pieces to the puzzle answered. I believe that we already have those answers to what cycles of the moon are, because we are already calculating the moon phases with precision. So we have the data for this. We just need to plug in this equation that Enoch is giving us and find out where we are in that equation. We also need to find out how to use the stars. That one seems to be very difficult, and people are not producing anything about the stars. That is it, Mashpaka. That's all I wanted to talk about. And I hope that we can all come to the truth that not one person will have all truth to them, that we will use each other's knowledge, our perceptions, our understandings as stepping stones to be tested, to be proven, to not put down, to not attack, to not argue with your brothers and sisters about these topics. Do not get angry. That is not a part of what Yahuwah wants for his people. We do not come at each other and put each other down. At this point in time, what we should be doing is gathering evidence, gathering information, gathering perceptions, ways to view at different angles Scripture, and test each individual one. So let's all have open eyes and open ears so that we can understand what we are being taught and not shun anyone for what is being shared because it is disagreement with what you currently understand. Even if points are made in whatever is being understood that it is wrong to you, there could be other points later on that are good views to give you understanding of Scripture. Again, not one person is going to have all the truth at this point in time. We are still in an early stages. So I palal that Yahuwah is forever in your hearts and speaks with your every move. Shalom, shalom.